I came to Mount Pleasant in '93, and the reason that I came was that I was looking for a church, and my aunt and uncle, which is Claude and Will May, had a faith walk that I could recognize. And so I thought, I'm going to try out their church. So I got to Mount Pleasant, and that was in the very old sanctuary here. And when I walked in, I knew that the Holy Spirit was present. And because he was present, I stayed. And after that, things progressed because I was so hungry that I wanted to find out what God had for me. And I started coming to Sunday night services. We had a service every Sunday night, and it was led by a lay person. And at the end of it, we broke into prayer circles. And when we broke into prayer circles, you just took a prayer request from someone, and you learned to pray. There was no any education. It was just pray, have a conversation with God. And so it was a really great experience. And then as I learned that part of the element of having a conversation with God, that there were Bible studies that we began to have. And Kay Arthur did precept upon precept Bible studies. And during that time, I learned how to study the Bible. And that was so important because I was a new Christian and had no idea how to understand what God had written to me. And so as I learned how to look into it and find out what that was, I found a book of Habakkuk that I didn't even know was in my Bible. And God gave me my life verse, and it was, wonder, be astonished, look among the nations. He is doing something in your days that you would not believe if you were told. And that was so amazing to me because it worked in every situation, and I learned that and grabbed onto it. And after the Bible studies, God had called me to intercessory prayer because I started asking him, what is it that you have for me that I can use for you? And because of my world situation, it's what he gave me as a calling. And so that was amazing because I had learned to have a conversation with him, but now I got to serve him because it was listening to his voice. What was it that you want me to pray for your heart? And so as I learned to do that, that just drew that intimacy with him so much deeper. And it was so amazing. And we started Monday night prayer meetings here, and there were a small group of us. At one time it was just 2 of us that would meet on Monday nights, and we would pray what the healings would need to be and what the requests were and find out what God's heart was. And that was so incredible. And then after that, I remember going to a spiritual warfare Bible study. And this was just after the newer sanctuary was here. And hearing what God had to say during spiritual warfare is that something's always happening. It reaffirmed my Habakkuk verse, that something's always going on. He's always doing something. But the wonderful thing about that was I recognized when he spoke to me that when 2 Christians are both right, but they're in full argument, what happens in the heavenly realms? We don't win as Christians. Our faith walks suffer. And so it was so amazing to me to hear that said out in a Bible study, to say, you don't always have to be right and get your way. You need to follow after me. And that was huge. That was just huge for me. After the spiritual warfare class and just learning that, I went through a sifting period, and my dad was killed instantly in an automobile accident. And so many things come with that, not just grief, but family dynamics and situations. And it was a month before I got back to Mount Pleasant because I was traveling every weekend. And when I walked in the door, there was this precious man, Bob Lawson, who I walked in, and he said, "You are my adopted daughter." And when he said that, I knew that this was family because he took the place of what God had taken home. And that was huge because then I knew what else it was, because I was in my own bubble, moving from situation to situation, but never integrated into the body. And this was just in 2007. And then I was integrated into the family because he became my family. I wasn't blessed with having children of my own, but God knew what my heart was. And so when he knew my heart, he led me into an opportunity to serve with our own youth here. So I call them my kids most of the time because they are. They're who God has placed for me. That's so exciting. Knowing that God has fulfilled what has been missing in my heart, I knew that when Chris came to ask if I would leave the prayer team for this great journey that we're on, that I was so excited to be called back to my first love and my first call. So I know that I can walk continually with him and hear from him. And I'm just excited about the spiritual journey we're going to continue on as the family.